Welcome, everyone, to the Politics of Survival. I'm your host, Tara Reade. Tonight's a really special night. I have with me several guests, and we're going to be talking about the Myrotvorets website, the Peacekeeper website, which is a kill site by the Department of Ministry of Ukraine with names and addresses and pictures of people that they consider enemies. And we have two people actually that are on that site tonight. One of them is a young playwright, author, writer, and her name is Faina, and she actually is one of 300 children on the website. Also joining us is Mira Torada, who is the founder of the Foundation to Battle Injustice. And then we have the director, producer, Igor Laponinik. And excuse my throat tonight, everyone. I'm going to let other people do the talking. And we're going to start out with introducing our beautiful Faina, who is here all the way from Ukraine, from the Lugansk district. And we're going to discuss what's been going on in her life as a result of being put on this website or kill list by the Ukraine Foreign Ministry. Welcome, everyone. So welcome. Faina, how are you this evening?
Faina, как твои дела этим вечером?
У меня все хорошо.
Everything is good.
Excuse my throat. I have a little bit of a cold, so I'm trying not to cough. So, many people in the West know about the conflict in Ukraine, probably from one perspective. I'm going to pause, Mira, so that you can translate.
Многие люди на Западе знают о ситуации на Украине с их личной перспективы.
And one of the things that most Westerners do not know is about this particular Myrotvorets, or the Peacekeeper website, as it's called.
Myrotvorets. Yeah. Sorry.
Одна из вещей, о которых на Западе не знают, это как раз-таки сайт Миротворец.
So could you tell the audience that's listening a little bit about how you found out that you were on this list and why?
Фаина, расскажи, пожалуйста, людям, аудиенции, которые нас слушают, о том, как ты узнала о том, что ты на Миротворце и почему.
Узнала я об этом в соцсетях, сказали об этом мои друзья-журналисты.
I found out about it from the social networks. My friends, journalists, told me about it.
Почему это? На самом деле ситуация странная. Я думала, что из-за видеообращения в ООН, но причина на самом сайте много раз менялась.
The situation is strange itself why I'm on it, but I think it's because I made the video approach to the UN, but the reason itself on the website on Myrotvorets has changed several times.
Okay. And this video that you made for the UN, you were basically pleading the case that Lugansk wanted to be independent and free of the Kiev regime.
И в обращении, которое ты записала в ООН, преимущественно говорила о том, что Луганск хочет быть независимым от Украины.
Я говорила о том, что дети войны, которые находятся на Донбассе, они хотят просто мира и спокойной жизни.
I was telling the children that are in Donbass want peace and a peaceful life.
And for that, you ended up on this website that actually, I don't know if you know this or you may, but famous people like Roger Waters, the musician, is on it. Of course, Igor is well known. He's a director. He's on it.
Me too.
Mira too. Mira
You're on it too, so all three of you are on it. Okay.
Tara as well. Yeah, you're not member of our club, Tara.
I'm sorry.
Did you member of our club, Anna Myrotvorets? Did you check yourself?
Oh, I haven't checked. I don't know how to check.
Oh,
I'm
That's
confident after this show you will be, because everywhere where Faina goes or whoever helps her ends up on it.
yeah,
Well,
okay.
there you have it. There you
That's
have it.
how pathetic they are.
But this,
Yeah.
but I think, but for the audience who doesn't know, this is an actual website that's funded by the, and you know, Igor and Mira can talk a little bit more about this, but this website shows the pictures of the children, including you, Faina, right, and adults, their addresses, all their personal information, who their parents are, and this information is very threatening. And then in the case of Daria Dugina, she was in a car bomb in Moscow. After she died, they put liquidated on it. So it's a very serious website for the audience that's listening. I don't know why it hasn't been taken down. There's been a lot of petitions and things from the West, actually from people that are concerned, that are not part of, you know, the government, that are trying to ask for it to be taken down. So Faina, back to you. I wanted to talk to you. I read your beautiful Thanksgiving message, and Reef, you can't see this, but Reef has it up right now on the monitor for everyone to see so that they can look at your writing. Could you tell us a little bit of what you'd like to say to you know, other Western, you know, people in Europe and the United States that maybe don't know what you're going through in Lugansk?
Фаина, ты написала прекрасное обращение на День Благодарения. Может быть, ты его сейчас не видишь, но оно показано на экране, на мониторе. Пожалуйста, расскажи что-нибудь нашим американским друзьям, то, что бы ты хотела им сказать, чего они могут не знать.
Ну, даже не знаю, наверное.
She's just shy. She says, well, maybe I'm not sure.
Well, let me ask a different way. Could you describe what your life has been like in Lugansk since you were 5 years old? Because people know that there's been things that have gone on in the Donbass region. Could you describe what it's been like to be a child and going through?
Фаина, расскажи, пожалуйста, что такое быть ребенком и находиться на Донбассе, потому что все это происходит с момента, когда тебе было 5 лет.
Ну, с самого начала войны я плохо понимала, потому что была маленькой. Но потом уже пришло какое-то осознание, что вообще происходит.
From the beginning of the war, I didn't understand well what was going on because I was just too little. And later on, while I was growing up, I started realizing what's happening.
Но со временем как-то даже уже привыкли, как бы это страшно не звучало.
And then within time, I just got used to it, even though I understand it sounds pretty scary.
And, you know, in your writing, you make a very impassioned plea for peace. Have you heard from anyone back that's in power, like in Russia or in Ukraine, or anyone of an official that is trying, that would answer you at all, or from the UN?
И в своих обращениях ты делаешь очень чувственные, страстные заявления к лидерам. Ты получала какие-то ответы от них?
Да, получала.
Yes, I got...
Получила от него ответ, что он поддерживает мир во всем мире и сказал, что давайте молиться вместе.
Yes, I got an answer from Vatican, and the father said that he's for peace as well, and he offered her prayers together.
Okay.
Можно я немножко вмешаюсь? Can I intervene for a second? I read this answer. This is not from the Pope. This is like from his the apparatus. So
Cardinal?
Yeah, that's a real bureaucratical way to answer. You know, we love you. Let's pray about you. I was chasing the Pope for the 6 months. This exactly same Pope when the Ukrainian shit just started happened in the 2014. So they very hypocrite. There's a lot of hypocrisy in the Vatican, unfortunately. because they call it now Russians like a cruel, and they making the icons from the Ukrainians. If you just understand whom he met, with whom he hand shake, that was like disgust me. But we all need to remember that during the World War II, Vatican was blessing Adolf Hitler and his fight against the Soviet Union. So this is a continuation of behavior what the Vatican is delivering to the world again and again.
So Faina, one of the things that I noticed about your message, your video message to the UN, and also your writing, particularly the Thanksgiving message, is just how beautifully you write. And you're also a playwright. So are you going to continue writing as a profession, maybe?
Фаина, одну вещь, которую я заметила из твоего видеообращения и из тех обращений, которые написала, в особенности обращения на День Благодарения, это то, что ты прекрасно пишешь. Ты планируешь не только обращения, но и также драматургию. Ты планируешь и дальше писать, возможно, как твоя будущая профессия?
В первую очередь, большое спасибо. Продолжу я писать, пока не, как именно продолжу писать, в целом, конечно, продолжу, но как профессия не знаю.
Well, first of all, I would like to thank you for such warm words, and I'm still writing. I will keep writing. I'm just not sure if I will choose it as my profession.
Right, and it's something that you can always do, whether you do it as a profession or not, right? But I wanted to ask you one more question, then I was going to talk to Igor and Mira about the website itself. Do you have other friends that are on this kill list as well, or are you the only person that you know of in your, friend circle that's in it?
Прежде чем я продолжу разговаривать о миротворце с Игорем и Мирой, я хочу тебе задать еще один вопрос. Есть ли у тебя какие-то друзья или люди в твоем окружении, которые также попали на сайт Миротворец?
В принципе, Мира и Игорь. Много людей.
She says in general, it's Mira, Igor, many people actually.
Many people, okay. Well, it's a very scary thing. And I know one story that was shared was someone did come to your house, although they didn't do any harm. They were just came for your 14th birthday or something like that unannounced, but it's because your address is out there. Did that happen?
Одна из вещей, которые потрясают, это то, что кто-то пришел к тебе на один из твоих дней рождения не с целью причинить вред, но так или иначе кто-то пришел к тебе домой, потому что информация о твоем адресе размещена на этом сайте. Это так?
Да, это было слегка неожиданно.
Yes, it was a little unexpected, she says.
Well, you're very strong to come here and talk about it. And I know, from your perspective, you live there and you're dealing with this every single day. And it's really good for people in America and Europe to hear what you and the other 300 children and many adults are going through on this list.
Ты очень сильная, что пришла сегодня на это шоу, и то, что ты ежедневно переживаешь, находясь на Донбассе, это очень хорошо, что ты можешь поделиться сегодня с людьми в Америке и в Европе о том, что там происходит.
Спасибо огромное. Также огромное спасибо, что не очень много людей хотят рассказывать правду.
Thank you very much. It's not that many people who wants to tell the truth.
Unfortunately, that's true. So, Igor, I wanted to come to you now and talk about the website.
Yes.
Could you explain it in a way where there are some people who are listening who've never even heard of it? We all know it and we're dealing with it, but could you explain who's behind it and founded it and what it means? Thanks.
Oh, it's very, very straightforward explanation. We studied it in details. So that was funded by The little crook was a big guy, like, called Anton Gerashchenko. He was assistant and of Minister of Internal Affairs at this time, Mr. Avakov, who was the godfather of Azov Battalion. And this is what's linked to this website, leading exactly straight.
And let me stop you there. Those who don't know, the Azov Battalion is a Nazi far-right extreme
formation, yeah. So now it's not a battalion. This is like, this is a huge military formation, military. This is a part of Ukrainian military. And actually, the Avakov did that part of National Guard of Ukraine. And that's exactly the same people. But you also need to understand that Myrotvorets was after that picked up as a program by the American Special Forces, who is managing Stratcom and who handling all information, all strategies and policies what the United States Special Forces implement in this hybrid war in Ukraine. So exactly that and person that's leading to the notorious the guy who's called Joel Harding. That's a military and intelligence man who is now working in Langley. So why, you ask me why that's so important? So I'm like paying attention to website. They're using technology. They put in the celebrities on the list. They put in the people who is very well known on that list just to grab more attention from the audience. They not only correct. Roger Waters, Mikhail Gorbachev, Henry Kissinger, the Vladimir Putin, and others who is on that web list. I actually very proud to be there because it's all of my friends. It's packed with Russian celebrities, all great directors, Nikita Mikhalkov and others, and Oliver Stone. So everyone is here because they want to bring more attention today and want to show and they do the propaganda work. Not a propaganda, this is an informational war. And this is an informational influence operation, what they're running out of the Langley to this website. Friend of mine, George.
Wait 1 second. What is the connection to Langley? Is it being funded by U.S. intelligence or British intelligence?
Oh, listen. The United States intelligence community never fund directly. They have a lot of the umbrella organization. But yes, you're right. You can say that's the United States intelligence funded.
Langley is CIA.
Yeah, that's Langley, Virginia Langley. That's as a Mission Impossible person. Are we talking about same Langley in Virginia? Yes, we're talking about the place.
Top of the website of the Peacekeeper website, it literally says Langley, Virginia, top right corner.
Yeah, but this is bragging. You know what? Do not pay attention to that. This is bragging. They trying to use also MI6 naming. They using the CIA naming. Blah blah blah. They using the SBU naming. The SBU, not even close, not in a different planet. Where is the Langley and the MI6? I mean CIA, MI6. SBU is a little crooks who understand nothing. They just deliver in Stratcom what was given to them to deliver. So they are under complete operational control. They have no freedom of will to change something. They are under complete operational control from operatives sitting overseas and Iranian proxy war against Russia. And you need to understand why that website is so important, because hybrid war and informational operations now is more important than battlefield operation. And that people have a strategy. We're talking with George Ellison, who studied that strategy in details. And even that strategy is classified. We know the strategy. They divide and conquer, multiplied with and amplified with all contemporary algorithms and targeting audiences, segmenting the audience and using big data to hit exactly minds what they want to hit. And
so it's pretty deplorable to have the website at all, but then to have children on it, isn't that a type of an international crime? Wouldn't it
Yeah, I understand. This is a regular Nazi stuff. This is a regular Nazi business to fight against children, to have no difference for the old people, for the women, and for the children. They do it all the time. They do it during the Third Reich, they're doing this under the current Reich, number 4. And don't make any mistake, the Ukraine is growing Reich. This is the rebirth of Nazi state in the heart of the Europe.
Mira, you came across all of this how? Because you're part of the Foundation to Battle Injustice. So could you talk a little bit about your organization and then how you connected with Faina?
Well, yes. What happened is I wrote a couple of books, and Faina is a writer, added me as a friend on social networks, and we just started talking about the book writing. And then she told me that her personal data is on Myrotvorets website. So I asked my colleagues to check if there are any other minors. And what a shock it was when we found out that there are 327 minors on the website. So we collected a statistic data about their age. Like the youngest girl is 9 years old, for example. Who are they, boys, girls, which countries they're from, because they're not only from Russia and Ukraine. They are from Belarus, they are from Armenia, Azerbaijan, and other countries. We also figured out what crimes Myrotvorets accused them of. And then we submitted all this paperwork to Dmitry Polyansky, who is the vice representative at the UN. And this subject was raised at the UN and the Soviet of Safety. And what they did, as always, they condemned. They condemned the website, but they have done nothing. And then a little short after that, my friend Daria Dugina was murdered. And I found out about it before the official news broke out. And when I found out about it, I wrote again to my colleagues, asking them to check Myrotvorets. And it already, her page was marked as liquidated. It happened before the official news broke out. I'm going to repeat that again so people will understand how Myrotvorets knew about it. Exactly. And Dasha's information appeared on Myrotvorets months and a half before the murder. So after that, we collected the data of how many journalists are on the website, and we found out that 12 of them, there are over 340 journalists from all over the world, and 12 of them were murdered by now. And all those pages are marked liquidated. And so we submitted another report to the UN, and at this time there was no reaction. So we knew who is host and provider of Myrotvorets, and it's an American company that's located in California named Cloudflare. And they just had not long ago the situation with another website that they were hosting. That website was doing similar, it caused similar crime, because it's a crime to publish personal data without an approval of the owner of the data. And they hosted the website that published personal information of transgenders. So once people complained, the transgenders complained, the American citizens complained, Cloudflare shut down the website. We wrote the letter explaining that there are many American citizens, which I still don't get how American government doesn't defend its own citizens that are on it. And Cloudflare just ignored the letter. We collected the petition over 1,000 signatures in a short amount of time that was submitted to the UN as well. There were social figures, leader opinions, journalists who signed that petition, and it's complete ignore from every international organization, knowing that this site violates not only national laws, but international laws as well.
It's remarkable that it's not shut down yet, and that there isn't more publicity about it. Now, I know you were able to talk to the Grays down to Max Blumenthal, and I know, Igor, you've been on a few programs, Richard Medhurst is, most recently, and some others, but is any mainstream media contacting any of you? Corporate media, Western media, BBC or CNN,
no,
like that?
No
one.
Okay.
Oh.
That's not on their main topic. We all know what the main topic is, to demonize. Of course, they would love to demonize Russia, but they would never say if Ukraine or collective West, if it's modern to say right now, are involved in any type of crime. And how is it possible that the freedom of speech and democracy is violated? So they don't need to show this ugly side. You know, everything is perfect on their side. It's only Russia is criminal, according to their words. So, of course not. They are not going to do that.
This is what they call it. This is what we call in double standards, because accusing the Russia in every possible little violation, what Russia practically don't do nothing, and just ignoring such a horrible example of brutality and the crime against humanity. Because actually, what is that Myrotvorets side doing? This is a war crime. This is a
I was going to say it does violate the Geneva Conventions.
Correct.
But it's
because you put in non-combatants in a danger during the war. This is what they do.
You know what I'm remembering? Like I met this professor not long ago at one award. He is the professor in the Diplomacy Academy here, and he said like very, very interesting words that just touched my heart. He said that there are a lot of conversations from both sides about the centers of decision making, and Ukraine been talking so much about striking the decision making center, and everybody was thinking maybe they will skyrocket Kremlin or something like that. But no, what they're doing is they are murdering our children, which are the decision making centers in the future. 10-15 years from now, they will be on our spots, on the spots of our politicians. And when they kill our children, like Poroshenko said, your children, Russian children, will be in the basements, while our children, Ukrainian children, will be going to school. So this is what they're doing. They are using the weapons that are coming from the West to shell Donbass children. They are using Myrotvorets to scare the children, to scare their voices. And Faina is very brave that she came out to protect and defend all those children. While we've been working, we've been in contact with the families whose children are also on the kill list, and they don't want to come out. They don't want to speak. They are scared, and their program, their initiative, this informational war in this case is unfortunately working. But Faina's voice is not the voice somebody of one person in the desert. Faina has a lot of support. She is supported by famous people whose voices are heard, and Faina's voice is heard. So in this case, I think their plan fell apart.
Yeah, I think it is.
And also, I need to add to this, so that people who run in that website, they need to know, this is a clever message to them. We also making the list of the people who behind that. We're gonna go after them. As soon as we win this war, and we're gonna win this war because it's impossible. If Russia not gonna win in this war, we all doomed, all humanity. But Russia gonna win this war, and after that it will be the trial, as in a Nuremberg trial. And after the first wave of war crime, with the soldiers and generals and others, will be other wave of crime. It will be policemen and judges and the journalists, and after that it will be third wave of trial. It will be everyone who participate in this crime against humanity will be brought to the justice, grabbed and dragged from the shadow to the light. And we will show that ugly faces of dead people to the entire world. And we're going to sue them, we're going to prosecute them, and after that, we're going to execute them. Because dead people need to be punished for that things what they're doing. Fighting against our children, this is a crime. And we're going to protect our kids. We're going to protect our mothers. We're going to protect our motherland. We're going to fight as our fathers and grandfathers and grandfathers fight before. And we're going to win. We're going to win again. This is a matter of importance to all Western audience to understand what is going on. This is a Nazi regime, the Reich #4, flourishing for you taxpayer money. flourishing because of Biden administration sending the weapons them to fight Russia, sending them money to hire the mercenaries and to pay them and to send them to fight people like Faina, like Mira or others. This is what's going on in Ukraine. Please stop it. I'm pledging to everyone who is listening in the West to organize in an anti-war movement and go outside and protest, because everything what's going on in Ukraine paid by United States and Europe. That's all funded by the people who are sitting in their beautiful homes and watching their big TV screens, and they don't understand for their money what they pay to the government. Other very ruthless people killing the kids.
Well, I think a lot of our audience doesn't know, some of the heartache that's been going on in the Donbass, that the Ukraine military has been bombing for 8 years, and 14,000 people have died. And how many children in the Donbass region approximately have been killed, Igor?
I believe, I know that overall, more than 14,000 civilians was killed for these 8 years. Let's ask Mira. Maybe Mira know better than I do. How many kids was?
There are hundreds already by now, because on a daily basis, like there are people who are doing this work, and they're doing the new project about children that lost arms or legs, and they're making this horrible video, like talking to this 8-year-old girl I saw just yesterday, and she is like, I want a new hand, I want a new arm. It's sad. Every day there are like 5-10 children just get hurt, and like 1-2 of them get killed.
You're talking about the puddle mines. I had Ava Bartlett.
Those are one of the weapons, but beside that, they're shelling every day. They shell Donetsk every day on a single basis. They shell the peaceful in social infrastructure. There are no military objects or anything like that. They just do it for pleasure and to report that here we are working. You send us this weapon, so you send us this money, so we are working on it. They don't care who those weapons kill. All what they care that they just have to destroy something. And there is already like the beautiful alley, it's called Alley of Angels. It's dedicated to all the children that was murdered during this conflict, and it has to stop.
I was recently on a panel where there was an argument there were some people there from the UN and World Bank and different places, and they were denying that there was any kind of problems with the Donbass. They were saying that there were forced elections, or the elections were the sham. And then some of us pushed back. There was a journalist, Johnny Miller was there, and Wyatt Reade, who was almost killed. He's on that kill list, and his hotel was bombed. He was in the Donbass region for like an hour, and had
Johnny Miller is also on the kill list.
Yeah, yes. He's on the kill list. Anyway, so they both pushed back as well as me, and we said, no, this is, pay attention to what you're saying. This is the Ukraine military bombing Donbass. So I think that's what. And so it's good for our audience to hear from you. And Faina, it is so important that everyone hears from you, because so much of the news in our country, in America and in Europe, doesn't tell us the truth. So you speaking the truth is really, really important. And what you've done is more than brave. It's a heroic thing.
Фаина, очень смело с твоей стороны говорить на тему того, что происходит на Донбассе. Это героически.
Спасибо большое.
So, because we just don't have the information. So you coming on the show helps. So, Faina, you are the future. What would you like to see in the future? What do you see, and what can you hope to happen now?
Фаина, ты будущее. Что бы ты хотела увидеть и на что ты надеешься в будущем?
В первую очередь, мир в Донбассе.
First of all, it's peace in Donbass.
First of all, what?
It's peace. It's peace in Donbass.
Mm-hmm. And?
Еще?
Well, I'm asking what you would like to see in the future in Lugansk and other regions? What would you like to see?
Что бы ты хотел еще увидеть в будущем в Луганске и в регионе Донбасса?
Ну, не знаю, даже, наверное, общение детей всего мира между собой.
Well, I'm not sure, but probably a communication in between children of the whole world.
Okay. All right. Well, I think the UN was a good place to start. And does the Ambassador Polinsky communicate with your organization, Mira, and try to work with it to try to raise up this more?
We do communicate. We try to work, but there are just crazy stuff going on in UN itself. Like when you say that UN will do that, I kind of doubt it at the current moment, because at the beginning of special military operation, I still did believe in UN as an organization. But later on, like I've been going back to the documents of UN, and I see like in Article 1, there are only 4 chapters, like 4 parts, and all those 4 parts are violated by now of the purposes of the existence UN as its own organization. And just 2 days ago, I was participating in one conference, one forum of the Mercy and humanitarian aid and social communication and so on. And I said that I do believe that we need an alternative organization like UN and also European International Court based on the BRICS countries, because apparently we do not get any justice or any fair word anymore from the UN. And if UN does allow all this crime happen, to me, if you don't act on the crime, you become conspirator. You become a supporter of this crime. So to me, unfortunately, this organization is a dead-born organization now, because when it says that all countries, all parties must be making decisions, I don't see it's happening, because they're trying to throw Russia out constantly. When we approach UN with such issue as minors information is public, it's like a menu for pedophiles and human traffickers. You open and there are pictures, home address, cell phone number, email address, social networks. It's crazy and insanity. Like, tell me about it last century, we wouldn't believe it. So I don't see any progress. I see degradation, regress happening in the humanity. And like, I don't want to be a part of this European Union or American or UN that became criminal itself. I want to be part of that light that sits with us today. Like I want to go with Faina. I want to support children. I want to have bright future. I want to support brilliant children, talented children, writers, sportsmen, and others. And I don't want to support those criminals. And UN, unfortunately, piles up with the fake information that it's again another information war, that Western countries just keep submitting a bunch of lies in Russia. And there are not that many people that can go through all that lies. So they just take every single statement as a fact without checking, without careful review, without any final resolution and decision making. So they just take loud names. That's how the media works. And apparently that's how UN works. Everything is based on gossip. And this is not, there's no justice and there's no fair decisions in there. So we need new organization, alternative one.
Well, you're speaking about the UN, and a lot of people feel that the UN should be abolished, as well as NATO, that NATO is not a peacekeeping organization. It's an aggressive force. It's caused a lot of wars, a lot of death, a lot of problems, and is now. Obviously, the NATO and US and the proxy war that, you know, in fact, today, 53 million more is going to Ukraine. 50 billion is on the table for January. And it's ridiculous. Meanwhile, countries in Europe, as you know, have maybe been seeing in the news a little bit, like not in Western, but in independent, our economies are falling apart, American and European. And, you know, the infrastructure is falling apart. And we're not, so there's a few people that are holding the strings of the UN and the NATO, I think. And Igor, I'd like you to speak to that more, because that's your area of expertise.
I want to fix one statement, what very, very powerful and very emotional, not based on the gossips, but make that all decision made on a basis of carefully crafted lie delivered to the because it's not a gossip. This is a carefully crafted warfare, informational warfare used against Russia by NATO. And we know the centers of decision. It's not a decision, but producing this. That's sitting in Lithuania and that's sitting under that NATO for Excellence. This is like organization was crafting that lie. We know that people as well. So every big players participate in this. All liars in the world, like a Billingcat and others and others. This is like a huge, massive operation, including a mainstream media, funded by government, funded by Western government, but overall, it's all funded by you. That's all funded by you, my dear fellow American taxpayers. Every time when you sign in a check to IRS, you're sending your money to Nazi in Ukraine to kill the people like Faina, to kill other kids and to kill and to endanger the innocent people. So you need to understand. And and Biden hiring another 87,000 of IRS agents and giving them firearms to squeeze more money from you to run this proxy war, what they decided they need to run. Why? To hide the crimes what Biden and Biden family committed in Ukraine. And all that Burisma stuff, all that Hunter involvement in all corrupted deals and also Makrobiota and BioLabs when he was also involved in the crimes in Ukraine. They make a cleaning operation after the Biden family. Not only Hunter, but Joe Biden himself, who commit a lot of crimes in Ukraine, who validate the government would come to the power through the coup d'etat, military armed coup, with violence and all based on the blood of people spilled on the streets of Kiev in 2014. Actually, I want to make one parallel to Faina because it reminds me in my childhood time, that was a brave American girl, Samantha Smith, who come in a dress with a letter, the Russian, the secretary of Russian Communist Party, Mr. Andropov, I believe. And he invited her to come in Soviet Union. She come, they sent her to Artek, there's a summer camp on the Black Sea in Crimea. But actually I know very well because me myself was a few times in Artek and all my kids was in Artek as well. I very much love this camp. It's amazing. And she hang out with the Soviet kids and she understand this is exactly the same and nobody want to kill Americans. Nobody, it's all policy of people who sitting in Washington. And she come back and she start to be very popular. She start to be a voice of the peace. She start delivering the message to American people. And in a few years or 1 year, the CIA killed her. They organized the accident with the small airplane that Samantha and her father was using. There's only one big outlet in the world, that newspaper called Truth in Russia, Pravda, write a big article about that. Of course, that the article was immediately saying this is a communist propaganda, don't believe this. But I know for sure that the CIA using this time because the girl gained too much power, too much influence. And she was sharing the message like a strategic communication from the Soviet people and Soviet government to the West. So we're not an enemy, we not have a plan to kill you. And that message was wrong. This is why they killed the messenger.
So sad. And Faina, if you could translate what I'm about to say for her, and I'll stop so it's not too long. There are many Americans who love Russian culture, who are interested in Ukrainian culture, who are interested in and curious and don't have any animosity towards or bad feelings. So please know that.
Фаина, очень много американцев, которые любят русскую культуру, которые хорошо относятся к России, к людям, которые в ней проживают, и не испытывают никаких плохих чувств в отношении вас. Я хочу, чтобы ты просто об этом знала.
But unfortunately, we're ruled by people that have an economic interest in war.
Но, к сожалению, нами управляют люди, у которых есть экономические интересы в войне.
So we just need to keep having conversations like this. And please
Поэтому нам нужно продолжать вести такие диалоги, как этот.
You know, so Igor, I wanted to move on to your, because I know you probably have a very busy day ahead of you. I wanted to move on to your film. You have a film coming out. And for my audience, you've seen Igor on my show before, but this is the one you talked about last show, I think. It's called Ukraine, War and Peace. Could you tell us a little bit about, are you director and producer, or what's your role in this?
As usual, I directed all my films and produced all of my 4 films about Ukrainian crisis from 2014. I will name it, but people can find it on my YouTube channel or the Rumble channel and everywhere on the platforms, because it's still widely available. The first film that we did was a Maidan massacre, studying who killed the protesters on Maidan. It was 2014. Second one, a well-known, my biggest one, was Ukraine on Fire, with Oliver Stone, who recorded an interview and who helped me.
Let me tell you something about Ukraine on Fire. I just posted that in an argument with Vidman. You know, Vidman,
he blocked you.
He blocked me. Yeah. Anyway, go on.
Good. So Ukraine on Fire is working very well. So Vidman is a corrupted guy, and he will face his fate. Yeah. And after 2016, Ukraine on Fire still gaining momentum. We have more than 300 million people audience who some of them watch the film 3 times or more. This is and this is a phenomenon of this film, because after first watch of that film full, if you watch it to the end, people change in their minds 180 degrees about Ukrainian crisis. We follow up with a sequel to Reveal in Ukraine, again together with Oliver Stone, my dear friend, my partner, my teacher, who teach me to direct, who, by the way, forced me to direct Ukraine on Fire, because he believed I'm only a man who can do it, because I'm American film director who grown up in Ukraine and who know both languages and who understand how to tell that story to others. That's Reveal in Ukraine was come out in 2019. So let me tell you what Ukrainians did. They fired grenade launcher on a TV network was prepping to screen our movie in Ukraine. You don't know the story. We have the footage. Yeah, we have the footage from the surveillance camera of channel 112. And I also threatening everyone and executive management of the channel. If they do so, they all will be behind the bar very fast. Yes. So that channel need to cancel that. But that movie also gained a lot of momentum. We win the Grand Prix in the Taormina Film Festival. We was everywhere. We still carrying more than 17 platforms with Reveal in Ukraine in the West. And the last one was Ukraine, 30 years of independence. And they called it shorter way of title, The Everlasting Present. The everlasting present because the Ukraine waking up every morning the same day with same problems and never solve the problems again, again, and again, and again. And now we're working, I believe, I want to hope that will be last my Ukrainian cycle film, what's called Ukraine, War and Peace, because war is here. And, you know, I'm a big admirer of Leo Tolstoy, who's have amazing novel called War and Peace. Everybody in Russia studied that in a school, because you know what was the difference of Russian kids and the Western kids. Russian kids know the history of their country. They know how country was invaded for such a lot of times. They understand we're too big for the West to handle. They all the time want to split us, want to diminish us, want to degrade us. It's never happened with Napoleon. He was beaten, and the Russian Tsar Alexander I was riding the horse on the Champs-Elysees. And after that, that's another fucker who, sorry to say, want to destroy that great nation. That was Adolf Hitler. You know the end of this man. He killed himself and burned, and his officers burned his, and Russians possessed the skull of this dude. Yeah, and everyone who came to Russia with a sword was beaten by the sword. This is the words of very famous Russian saint and the Duke, Alexander Nevsky. The movie about him I'm working on now. So what I want to say, what is my movie about? My movie is telling the truth. Where is the source of this war? How that started in 2014 and early? Who is behind this war? Why, and what is the role of West and intelligence community of West in initiation and a growing and grooming Nazi assets in Ukraine for 70 years? And also how we're gonna end it? How we all need to deal with that, because there's only one way to end this war. That is to stop funding this war. Not even the mightiest army in the world can win against united the West, but Russia's army can, and they will. And but for that, they need all our help. They need help from Americans who understand there's something wrong in Ukraine, because America was all the time American people, not American government, because people of United States, this is a natural ally of Russian people, because they're good people. That's a great people living in a great country. Unfortunately, the government hijacked by the Biden, and the Biden is as well is a Nazi crime man who committing the crime against humanity. He need to be brought to justice. We cannot afford to have that man in the people's house. We need to drag him out of White House. We need to bring him to justice, him and his administration, and people from Obama circle who is behind that administration, because that administration, as you know, that's not independent. They're all puppets who's leading and put it on a chessboard by the masters of puppets. And then this is a Hillary and the Obama and the Victoria Nuland and all who's behind them. So this is my movie about, and I have all my speakers from my previous film. I cannot disclose the full list, but you will see a few great names. We also negotiation with the great musicians, and I believe and I hope so that we will have much bigger presence from American side than this time. I cannot disclose, but we're hoping to bring entire the decision makers in the one film and ask them very tough questions.
Good. I'm glad. Well, we're going to show the last 3 minutes of the trailer in a minute, but before I move on, because we'll close out the show with that, but I just wanted to go on to Mira and to Faina. Mira, is there any last messages that you would like to give to the audience that's listening tonight? Any last thoughts, and a little bit about your foundation, it's battling against injustice.
Right. Since I faced injustice myself several years ago from the United States government and authorities, when I came back to Russia, I headed the Foundation to Battle Injustice. I accepted the offer that's been made to me. And since then, I protect human rights of the prisoners that are facing outrage, of any other human being that need any type of help and faces injustice, like Faina, or women or men, it don't matter. And in different professions, opinion leaders, journalists, political workers, social workers, it doesn't matter. Anyone whose rights were violated, who was disrespected, not according to the human law, but God's law. And my last words to the audience probably will be the wishes. I wish everyone hope, faith, love, wisdom, and peace.
And Faina, I wanted to ask you if you had any thoughts or could talk a little bit about anything that you're going to be writing about very soon, if you are.
Фаина, поделись с нами какими-то мыслями, размышлениями или чем-то тем, о чем ты будешь писать в ближайшее время.
Ну, на самом деле, пока не знаю. Возможно, я буду писать, продолжу писать книгу о космосе, о девочке в космосе и о ее спутнике-коте.
I will continue writing a book about the girl in the universe and her cat. Фаина, расскажем о том, что мы хотим написать. Это же важно. Расскажем? О том, что мы хотим написать с тобой.
What's the name of the cat?
Как кота зовут? Как кота зовут?
Это секрет.
It's a secret.
What is it?
It's a secret, she says.
Oh, it's a secret. Okay. Well, now everyone has to read the book. So, Reade, can you put up her newsletter, because you have a place where you publish, right? And that's where I saw your Thanksgiving thing, so people can look for your writing. Okay. So Reade has it up right now. I just want to tell you what an honor it's been, Faina, to meet you, and I feel so lucky that you came to talk with me. Thank you.
Я хочу сказать тебе, Фаина, что это большая честь, что ты сегодня появилась на этом шоу. Было приятно с тобой разговаривать. Спасибо большое.
Это взаимно. Огромное спасибо.
Likewise. Thank you very much.
Спасибо. So Mira, I hope that I had invited you. I'd like to hear more about your story in depth. So we'll have you back on our show to talk a little bit more about your life, because it's very interesting. You told me a little bit. So it'd be nice to highlight that and talk more about your foundation.
Will be a pleasure.
Is there a way that people can find it?
Yes, the website is fontfbr.ru. I will spell it. F as a fox, O as an open, N as a Nancy, D as a dog, F as a fox, B as a box, R as a rabbit, R as a rabbit, U as united.
Got it. And we'll also have it in the links below for the audience members that want it. And Igor, final thought, and then I'm going to close out the show with your wonderful trailer for your beautiful movie. And I know it'll be amazing, because Kazakh was amazing, Ukraine's on fire, amazing. You are. So, final words.
So, to all people in the world who are ready to fight against Nazi, fight for our future, fight for our kids. We need your voice now. We can't wait. We in the final battle. This is not a drill. This is a real danger. Please stand up. Please go on the street. Please find the friends who want to join the anti-war movement when we already participate. Join our movement. Raise your voices. This is not a drill. We're in the final battle against the evil forces. And God bless you.
Thank you. Okay, so Igor, again, it's always amazing and wonderful to have you on the show. And to the audience, thank you for tuning in so late. Some of you stayed up late to watch the stream. Sorry about the tech difficulties we had at first. I'm glad we were able to work it out. We're going to close out. And Reade, if you could just play the last 3 minutes of the trailer, you'll find the link so you can watch the whole 12 minutes, those of you that are listening. And I want to thank Independent News Network. I want to thank Indy and Reade. And Reade, I know it was a lot of troubleshooting to get the stream going tonight, so thank you. And to my guests, Dobra Utra and Spasiba. And I hope to see you all soon. Bye, everyone. Have a good night.
Bye.
To the sound of gunfire.
Protesters behind homemade shields walking into live fire.
What we saw here today was a revolution. For the second time in a decade, Ukraine has ousted its president, dealing a massive blow to Vladimir Putin's Russia.
Мы считаем, что украинское правительство пришло к власти демократическим путем.
Yanukovych, who has kept Ukraine closely tied to Russia, has fled the capital.
Господин Байден говорил одно, а в Украине делали другое. We, of course, never choose candidates in any country.
I think Yats is the guy who's got the economic experience, the governing experience, and, you know, the EU.
So you had this remarkable phone call where you have these two senior officials of the U.S. government apparently talking about a coup.
Госпереворот совершили. С нами разговаривать не хотят. У нас какие мысли? Следующий шаг. Украина в НАТО.
The West is leading Ukraine down the primrose path. And the end result is that Ukraine is going to...
Officials are pleading with NATO to establish a no-fly zone over Ukraine.
The only way to actually implement something like a no-fly zone is to send NATO planes into Ukrainian airspace and to shoot down Russian planes.
1994 року були поставлені під сумнів.
Это и есть та самая красная черта, о которой неоднократно говорил. Они ее перешли.
It has happened. What seemed unthinkable in the 21st century is now underway. An armored column of 32 tanks have crossed the border from Russia into Ukraine.
Мною принято решение о проведении специальной военной операции. И для этого мы будем стремиться к демилитаризации и денацификации Украины.
Putin's aggression against Ukraine will end up costing Russia dearly, economically and strategically. We will make sure of that.
Vladimir Putin told the Ukrainian military to lay down their weapons and go home.
The United States aids Ukraine and her people so that we can fight Russia over there and we don't have to fight Russia here.
We're strengthening once more our sanctions against the Kremlin and its collaborator, Lukashenko's regime.
Ukrainian officials are pleading with NATO to establish a no-fly zone over Ukraine.
The only way to actually implement something like a no-fly zone is to send NATO planes into Ukrainian airspace and to shoot down Russian planes.
Ukraine is waking up to a second week at war with Russia.
One minor incident could escalate quickly into a full-scale war.
It's a war in which there are no winners. You've got thousands of nuclear weapons aimed towards Russia.
Данные нашей разведки продолжают фиксировать размещение украинскими националистами реактивных и артиллерийских подразделений в жилых кварталах не только в Киеве.
What is Putin's goal here?
Vladimir Putin set out to honor his word of 2007. At the Munich Security Conference, he said,
НАТО выдвигает свои передовые силы к нашим государственным границам. Думаю, очевидно, процесс натовского расширения не имеет никакого отношения к модернизации самого Альянса или к обеспечению безопасности в Европе. И у нас есть справедливое право откровенно спросить, против кого это расширение.
Berlin has agreed to a major armaments delivery, including anti-tank weapons, surface-to-air missiles, and rocket-propelled grenades.
Does Ukraine have chemical or biological weapons?
Ukraine has biological research facilities, which, in fact, we are now quite concerned Russian forces may be seeking to gain control of.
Biolabs in Ukraine. Biolabs.
The war in Ukraine enters its third week. Russia is widening its attack on cities. Airstrikes hit targets in central and western Ukraine, far from the front lines of the fighting.
I would not rule out American troops on the ground. We don't rule out first-use nuclear.
Теперь несколько важных, очень важных слов для тех, у кого может возникнуть соблазн со стороны вмешаться в происходящее событие. Кто бы ни пытался помешать нам, а тем более создать угрозы для нашей страны, для нашего народа, должны знать, что ответ России будет незамедлительным и приведет вас к таким последствиям, с которыми вы в своей истории еще никогда не сталкивались. Надеюсь, что я буду услышан.
Всю свою жизнь я прожила при войне. Мне 8 лет, я не знаю, когда мирное время, я не знаю. Взрослые дяди, которые строили войну, они должны ее прекратить. Она уже длинная, сильная. Надо уже как-то заканчивать с этим.
Are you afraid of something?
Yes.
Чего?
The world blowing up.